It would be common knowledge that a certain portion of the population will be resistant to any type of authority, regardless of where it's coming from. And with everything that's happening right now, I've tried to wrap my head around the idea of where things are going. How are they going to reel in the people who have proven to be more resistant? So in this video, we're going to talk about why you should prepare for anyone who's being resistant to what's happening right now to eventually be taken out. Hey everybody, it's Magic Prepper, and today we're talking about why you need to prepare for your resistance to eventually be used against you, and how the powers that be are very aware of the fact that certain portions of the population will resist any kind of major change, regardless as to why it needs to happen, at least in their opinion. And they know that certain groups exist that may not be willing to go with the flow. This is all common knowledge. So obviously strategy has been drafted in regards to the people who are going to be the most problematic during any kind of a large scale societal change. And if you're worried about how these governing powers might react to people who are more resistant to some of their compliance requests, then hit the subscribe button below, because we need to talk about these things. And I have certain ideas that I want to share with you regarding this whole concept, okay? So, understand that everyone knows that certain portions of the population will not go with the flow. Unfortunately, the majority will. And now we have historical evidence to actually back that claim. So, the Milgram experiment was an experiment done in 1961 by Stanley Milgram, who was a professor at Yale University. And basically, it wanted to show how far people would go when under orders relating to harming other people, okay? So, basically, they took two people. There was a learner and a teacher, and the learner was actually planted by Milgram. So this was a control that the teacher was unaware of. And the teacher was given the option to shock the learner based on any mistakes they made during a lesson. And the shocks went from anywhere between 15 volts up to 450 volts, okay? So, they had 4 different prompts that were required if the person did not comply. Okay, if they did not want to actually shock the participant, they were prodded 4 times. And the prods were, please continue. Then it was followed by, the experiment requires you to continue. Followed by, it is absolutely essential that you continue. And finally by, you have no other choice but to continue. All right? So understand that throughout those prods, they eventually reached a certain goal number based on how many people were willing to shock the participant, okay? 65% of participants actually shocked people up to 450 volts, which was labeled extreme danger. So, that experiment alone shows you that 65% of people under orders are more than willing to hurt another person as long as they're being told that they can do it, because, well, the authority said it's okay, so therefore they can wash their hands and say, well, look, I was just doing what I was told. 100% of participants shocked people up to 300 volts, but not everybody went all the way to 450, even when they were told to do so. So this proves a few things. One, that people who are under orders or think that they have the support of the governing body are more than happy to harm you if it means that they're being told to do so and that they have the righteous authority to do so. And number 2, it actually shows you that the government's very well aware of the other 35% of people, that no matter how they're coerced from an authoritative body, will not actually comply with something that will hurt someone else, okay? So, what does that mean? It means that they're very aware of how these pockets of resistance will exist. They're aware of who they are, where they're located, and exactly how many people may feel or act in this way, which, according to this experiment, could easily be somewhere around the 35% area, if you want to look at it in that way, okay? So, how are they going to deal with this? And now this is just an idea that I wanted to put out there for you to really consider, because it's something that's been bothering me and something that has been hard for me to wrap my head around, because there's so much going on right now. There's so much obvious skepticism in the air, and there's so many reasons to have questions about things regardless of your opinions on this or that. There still should be definite questions out there for you to be asking. How are they going to move into the next phase? How are they going to get rid of those pockets of resistance? How are they going to get rid of the problematic people? Well, when you factor in the idea that resistance is 100% going to exist, they know that it is something that will be there no matter what, okay? And you factor in the idea that these strategies have been written out for a long-term situation, where do you take it from there? Well, the resistance of these pockets is what's going to be used against them. And this is what I'm starting to get a little bit concerned about, because when you keep pushing things so hard that you push people into a corner, you expect a reaction. Now, a lot of people have the idea in mind that this reaction at some point is going to be how they're going to do this, because that reaction will be demonized and then people will unify against it because of the way that it was permeated into the general population, and then people will then find that common enemy, and that will be that. But hear me out on this, okay? Because I think that we're going in a different direction. The resistance will be used against you. You're being conditioned to be resistant right now, right? Here's all this stuff we know you hate, and we know you won't do it, and we know you won't like it. Oh, you're resisting. Well, we had no idea that you were going to resist, okay? Well, here's more stuff. Here's more things. Here's more things for you to resist. Build that resistance up. Just keep saying no. Wow, you're really going at it. You are doing a great job of resisting what's happening right now. Excellent. Okay, so all these things we're going to do here in the future, I mean, you're clearly going to resist, right? You're not going to actually do any of the things that we're telling you need to do. Oh, okay, got it. Well, here's what is going to happen. Oh, you're so resistant that the next time that something is actually going to happen, you're going to resist the solution, to the point where we are aware of exactly who will not participate with said solution at that time. And luckily for us, it will be a situation which will be much more devastating than what's caused all of your resistance in the beginning, and will push you to the point where you will no longer be able to access the solution due to the choices and the different decisions that you made prior to this new situation. And the new situation will be easily conquered by those who are more willing to comply and those who are not resistant, because, you know, they took all the things and did all the stuff that they were asked to do. So, get this whole idea really through your head. I really want you to think about it. By being resistant to everything, they are documenting it, right? Using terminology like refusal rather than declining an offer is a way for them to document who is on that list of problematic resistors. And once that resistance is easily figured out in the sense of who's part of it, it will be very easy to understand who will not participate the next time around. And when the next time around is something that was created by those who want to have a problematic next time around, and they know exactly who will not be willing to do something about it in the sense of protection, then it'll be very easy to rid yourself of the population of the resistance people that are going to cause you all these problems in the next era. This is something I really want you to consider, because yes, there are reasons to have questions, and yes, we should be skeptical of a lot of things that are happening right now, but we should also be aware that all of these things that are being put into place right now are already strategized and already thought out in multiple different ways, and the think tanks have picked apart every single decision that people would be willing to or unwilling to comply with. And they know exactly who the people that will be a problem when they decide to really flip the switch are, and they know exactly how to deal with them because they already know what their answer will be the next time they try to provide a said solution to a problem that's going to exist, which will be much worse than the problem that we've already dealt with already. This is just a thought I wanted to bring to your attention. This is not to try to coerce anybody into not resisting, because that is not what the point of this conversation is at all. The point of this conversation is to understand the perils and the risks of said resistance, and that obvious strategies are already being put into place that will punish you for said resistance at some point in the future, and they understand the decisions that you'll be making for you and your family from here on out, and in regards to whatever that might mean down the road, they know exactly who will or will not be affected by the next one. And I hope you all understand exactly what it is that I'm saying here in this message, because I try to really pick apart what's happening in the world, and I try to get news and information from lots of different sources, and I try to compile my thoughts into a certain way that I can broadcast them to you in a very digestible manner. But when these thoughts come into my head more than once in a frequent way, and I have to share them with you, I feel that we're getting to a situation where this is a possibility, and we should prepare for these things to happen, because if I was in charge, this would be a strategy I would feel could easily be implemented. And maybe that's why I shouldn't be in charge. But I am at least sharing this with you, because sometimes I don't have hard evidence. I don't have sources. I don't have things to share with you about all the little thoughts and details that culminated into this concept. What I have is a concept that is likely and has the possibility of being a reality. And that is why I wanted to talk to you about it. Because if I wanted to get rid of you and me, and anybody else who is self-reliant and resistant to doing whatever it is they're told to do, no matter what the Milgram experiment says, well, this is probably how I would do it. And since I would do it that way, who knows how many others have already figured that out. So, food for thought. Keep your mind working in overtime, because right now there's a lot of things working against it. And hopefully conversations like this one can open you up to some new ideas and give you some broader perspective as to what different threats lie out there that we should be preparing for. Without anything else to say about this, that's going to be it for Magic Prep.